Thank you very much. So before the panel, I would like to cover, the fintech global space. Applying the top-down approach towards discussion about Polish fintechs and the Polish environment, which simply should support fintech company. So first of all, as you can see, the global fintech investments are on the sharp rise, but majority of the funds come from the venture capitalists. So as you can see, the number 20 billion of investment, and 70% actually are backed by venture capitalists. So that's globally, right? Now let's benchmark that with Europe. So you can see the VC-backed investments are more or less on the same level, between 70–80%. And obviously, number-wise, it's 2 billion, so it's lower than that of the US number. But more or less the same in the financing. Financing is lower, but the share of the VC-backed investments are more or less the same. Now, obviously, the numbers, you see the leaders, obvious leaders, US, San Francisco, and Europe. We haven't talked about Israel because the startups are also included in some other locations. But obviously, it's US, Europe, and China. So now let's talk about why those fintechs, Polish fintechs, either do or they do not have support locally. Why? Look at the level of innovation. So according to the European Commission research, Poland is not as innovative as for instance, the Western European peers. And that speaks something about the environment for fintech companies in Poland. Now, let's see. We talked that most of the fintech investments are backed by the VCs, and apparently, unfortunately, in Poland, VC investment to GDP ratio, it's one of the smallest, and it's literally ridiculous when we compare it with Western Europe, and it's even lower than that of Hungary and Czech Republic, unfortunately. And some data regarding the Polish research and development expenditures, which are, as you can see, much lower than most of the Western European peers. So you see 0.9% versus what we have in Finland, 3.2%, and it's even lower than research and development expenditure in Czech Republic. So there is a huge room for development, and not mentioning the business angels per million of residents. In Poland we have 4, whereas in the UK we have approximately 70 of them. And regarding the share of VC investment in GDP, we already talked about it. It's really ridiculously low compared to Germany, and not mentioning Israel. And something which is quite interesting is the social financing. Obviously, it's in Poland, 70% comes from the friends and family. And obviously, awaiting where the VC funds are going to pour more money into those investments. And obviously, crowdfunding is another important aspect, and grants. So still room for development, a lot of room for development. But despite all of this, what we can see, Deloitte prepared a report which says that most of the money for the expenditure for the IT, for the fintech expenditures, for the fintech solutions, IT solutions dedicated to the financial sector, most of the money come from Poland. So you see that out of all the CE countries, the estimated size of fintech market across those 9 CE countries is going to be about 2.2 billion euro, whereas the share of, the Polish share is around 900 million. So it's quite optimistic. Then let's talk about few financial institutions which have, those, this fintech DNA highly embedded in their sort of operations. So when we talk about mBank, Idea Bank, and Alior Bank, one thing which is worth mentioning is that return on equity in the case of all of these banks is higher. You can see 9.3, 16, 9 almost 10%. It's higher than the return on equity of whole Polish banking industry. So it pays off to be innovative. Then not only that, but also we have a ranking which is called Innovation Index of Polish companies, run by by Pool Business and Bank.pl. So we can see that many of the Polish financial institutions are actually on the top of the list, meaning that if you have CD Projekt, which won the spot number 1, you can see that that obviously financial institutions are on the top. It's not like that are sort of, you know, on the lower range, but obviously, I mean, it speaks about the innovation of the Polish banks, for instance. And just few examples of what's happening in Poland now. Alior has launched, you know, the new strategy, digital disruptor. M-Accelerator just recently launched by mBank. PKO BP started to invest its first investment in Zencard. They are going to continue investing money in fintechs. And Vitelo Fund by PZU. It's a fund-of-fund business. And we should also mention the Starter, which was recently launched by Polish Development Fund, and Kulczyk Family Money, which are going to be put in the startup startups quite soon. And this is the sort of landscape of the Polish fintech companies. It's just not going to elaborate about it more. And obviously, those 4 companies, there are some successes. I just mentioned 4 of them. I mean, as these guys are my speakers here, I mean, so you can read something about them, and then we are going to talk about their success stories just in a few seconds.